Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Game Over Winnipeg. My name, of course, is Brady. Here I have in person with me, Lyss, my beautiful and perfect co-host. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I can't believe I'm live in person in the Jersey Cave in the basement here. I got the whole shebang, and there are more that you guys can't even see off camera tonight. I'm looking at them all, and wow,
it's not even all of them. But yeah, so we decided we would do a game in person today. Of course, not the result you would have wanted as Jets fans. Also, let us know if our audio sounds weird at all. We're using one mic. Hopefully it sounds good. But yeah, as I was saying, not the result the Jets were hoping for tonight. And honestly, not how I would have expected the game to have gone. But hey, think you know which way it's going to go. Make your bet with Sports Interaction, whether it's World Cup, hockey, football, or basketball. Sports Interaction has you covered. Bet pregame, live in play, or on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all that sports betting has to offer. Want to bet? Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus. Please play responsibly.
We will get good at those eventually, very soon.
Eventually, yeah. But yeah, as we were saying, not the greatest game from the Jets. At one point or another, it kind of looked like we might be in for a win. Who knows? At the start of the third, it looked pretty decent after Scheifele scored on the power play there. But of course, things didn't go that way, and honestly, it just didn't really seem like the Jets' night tonight.
Yeah, like we were kind of talking a little bit throughout the game, and it's interesting when you're sitting in person together talking. So all the things that we'd normally be airing out at each other when we're talking on these shows, we sort of touched on a little bit already, but we were talking a little bit specifically about how the second period was just so rough on the part of the Jets. And, they started off, like, especially the first stretch of the first period there, like maybe 5 or so minutes in, they were hemming the boys in, man. Like, it was really, really strong start. Like, Vegas couldn't seem to get any possession. They couldn't seem to get the puck out. Like, those guys were having those long shifts. The Jets were putting on a lot of pressure. Took the foot off the gas a little bit. Wasn't great. Second period, abysmal, trash. And then there was a little bit of life back in them in the third period in stretches. And just generally speaking, just wasn't the greatest 60-minute effort that we've seen from this team so far.
Yeah. One thing I think off the top, I want to mention, I think that it is worth mentioning that tonight, I think that Hellebuyck didn't have his greatest game. But regardless, I think that regardless of goalie, I don't think the Jets were winning that game. I think Helly kept them in on a lot of specific chances, but at the same time, there were more than a few that were, there were a couple goals that you would have hoped that Helly would have had. I'm trying to think which one. The first Marchessault goal, you would have wanted him to have. I can't remember the.
I mean, the second one too. There was, like, the first goal, yeah, you're right, 100%, and then Marchessault's second goal was from a similar angle, and it's, again, the kind of thing where it's, like, it's not the end of the world, like, it's the kind of thing, it's a nice shot, it's, like, almost like one of those Patrick Laine things where it's, like, every time, it's, like, the puck is coming right on from the guy, and there's not even much of a deflection in net, it's a nice shot, so the goalie maybe could have had it, sort of thing, but, like you said, it's not like every single goal that should have been a goal he saved tonight, there were a couple that were nice, could have been goals, and they were goals.
Yeah. And then of course there's a couple players we specifically had written down that we needed to touch on. I think just because it was a loss, we do have to touch on Neil Pionk first before we talk about Scheifele. Scheifele had a great game. Of course, I say we're not going to talk about him, and then I start talking about him. But yeah, Pionk, not his greatest game. The things that I saw from him on my end was he just didn't seem to. The Jets in general had trouble defending in front, and then of course, I mean, obviously he's wearing the goat horns when in the last 3 minutes of a tied game, and you let Phil Kessel get in behind you, so regardless of even if he took that penalty or not, that was going to be a very clear chance for Phil Kessel, but of course he high sticks him, and then the Golden Knights go to the power play, and obviously we saw how that turned out with Marchessault ripping one home. But even further to that, like there was parts earlier in the game where I think it was on one of the other power play goal the Golden Knights had scored. where Pionk just lost a battle in behind the net. Kevin Stenlund also kind of gave up the puck as well too, and then that's when it went over to who is it? I can't remember who scored that. I'm losing track of everyone who scored it. There was too many goals tonight. I mean, a 6-5 game. There's
a lot to keep track of. I know oftentimes when it's like a 3-2 win, you remember the exact sequence of all those goals. Honestly, don't put me on the spot here because I don't remember who half the Jets goal scorers are off the top of my head. It'll come to me, whatever. But no, for sure. I think Neil Pionk, like the two kind of areas where you want your defensemen to really be able to be, secure and confident in their own areas are on the blue line there, holding that properly, and then in front of their own net, right? Those are the two areas where there's a lot of controlled possession. So it should be, that should be an area where you have that strength and whatnot. So, your team has possession or the other team does. And I thought in both those areas he struggled tonight, particularly, like you said, with the Phil Kessel one, like when they're caught on their heels a little bit on the blue line. And when your team has possession, you kind of are on your heels. You're not expecting to have to jump back and defend off the rush, but the Vegas Golden Knights were much better off the rush tonight, with, getting behind the Jets defenders, even on the non-goals, on what could have been goals. There were a lot of times where they got behind the defenseman, and that's not what you want to see.
Yeah, that was one of the notes I had for like early on in the game, is that the Jets were just giving up the middle far too often. There was one specific play I remember. It was Chandler Stevenson got the puck on some kind of weird broken play, and he had like all the time in the world to skate the puck into the slot and take like a perfectly clear wrist shot. It's not that awful of a chance to have given up in the grand scheme of things, because it's a pretty clean shot, meaning that Hellebuck has good vision on that, but you never want to be giving up clean shots from anyone in the slot ever. And then even further to the point of the defense, the Nate Schmidt goal, like I completely forgot about the complete Nate Schmidt pizza that he gave up I don't know which one that was. Was that the third goal? I think maybe second goal. Who knows?
Fourth. I think it was the fourth.
I
don't know. I don't know anything.
I think it was the third. Anyways,
okay.
Regardless, who cares?
A goal.
One of the six. Yeah. Where Schmidt just gives the puck up, and again, like that's one where looking at it, that should not happen whatsoever. Like Schmidt should be easily able to get that puck out and not give it up to, I think it was Stevenson who stole it off him, and then Mark Stone got one. Got a rebound in front.
Yeah.
Regardless, so that was a game I felt the Jets didn't really deserve, even though they had gotten, as close as they did in the end. That they were only held in it by their top line playing really well, which I think we'll get into.
Yeah.
And also point shots from the D getting tipped like that. That's all the Jets could create tonight when it came to other than the top line, which again we'll get into. The first two goals were off of tips and rebounds. Like there was
first three.
Yeah. So there was the first Scheifele one, which was a really nice tip.
I could simply pull up the box score so we could remember. So I'm just gonna do that to save us the trouble of
there is two of us here.
I think. Yeah. No, yeah. The first goal was the Scheifele tip. Yeah, that was the one that we're like, we think it's him, whatnot. Yeah. And the second one was that Morgan Barron goal, which Jensen Harkins, that was, we were looking at that before the goal scored. We're like, holy smokes, Jensen Harkins like out battling in the corner there. And that was one thing that I thought in particular the Jets were much better at than the Vegas Golden Knights tonight, was behind your own net. They were much better, not necessarily the board puck battles, but just when the Jets were cycling down low and then a Vegas Golden Knight would come and peel off to try and, tussle with them and pull that puck away. They couldn't. The Jets were much stronger on the puck in those situations, which I thought was really good. And in that case, it worked out really well. Jensen Harkins was on the goalie's right there down to the corner, and he pulled up and he made a really nice pass there. Morgan Barron put the goal puck in the goal. Sam Gagner net front again. Mark Scheifele, gorgeous power play, and then the last one was the Mark Scheifele goal. So those were the five there. But before we fully move on from Neil Pionk, I think Noah made a really good point in the chat here about the Ottawa Scouts that people keep talking about. They've been at like pretty much every single home game this year. And Noah's like, listen, I wouldn't be opposed to shipping them out. He says in the chat. And at this point, neither am I. Like Jets they're Ottawa needs defense, and the Jets have a decent amount of them, and shipping someone out to me is never out of the question, especially when you're, plentiful in that area. And when teams are desperate for defensemen, which they always are, you never know what could come back in that package. So at this point of the season, like, my frustrations in the LPionk are just, they're only increasing, it feels like sometimes. So I wouldn't be opposed to it. So I think that's a really interesting point, knowing the kinds of scouts that were in the building tonight.
For sure, yeah. You touched on Jansen Harkins. I thought that he had a really good game. I thought the third line played pretty well, actually, just all in general. Again, Morgan Barron with that goal there stayed with it really well, and that all kind of started from a Jansen Harkins kind of working really hard in the corners. At this point, one of the things that we both kind of commented on is that the second line just did not seem to be rolling tonight. And again, it's easy to pin the blame on Mikey Eyssimont just because he's the guy who's kind of the odd man out on that line. Although I don't really think that he necessarily had a bad game. I just think that line, all in all, was not rolling at 5v5. And even in the last 10 minutes, I think maybe this was just bonus throwing the blender together.
The blender was out.
Yeah, and PLD dropped down to the third line, and Lowry went up. But I think that, if we ever get to the end of the Eyssimont experiment on the second line, I think the guy who's next up in that spot is Jansen Harkins, considering he's kind of shown a bit more of an offensive flair than Eyssimont has. Although Eyssimont definitely, shows that he can hang with those guys.
Yeah.
I think that Harkins would be a welcome addition, having a guy who can really battle in the corners, get the puck available for those two other guys on the line, totally. And then and also himself, he started the season really well with the Moose, and as soon as he hopped onto the Jets, he scored immediately in his first few games. So I think that he has a bit more confidence this year, and a bit more of an offensive charm to him that could provide that line, maybe a third guy if that isn't dealt with through trade or anything like that. We won't get into trade talk anymore because it's kind of something we fall back on whenever we're looking for something to talk about.
Let's bring in a top six winger. Okay, relax.
Hey, wouldn't Jesse Puljujarvi be great?
Hey, let's talk about Brock Besser. Just kidding. Yeah. No, I fully agree with that. And I think that you make a good point with someone who's able to get pucks loose for guys who can score. And like you said, it's not that Jansen Harkins can't score or anything like that, but I think that that's definitely a strength of his. And we know the kinds of shooters that Pierre-Luc Dubois and Cal Connor are. And they're guys that genuinely do excel when they get pucks just thrown out to them. And we know the kinds of passes that Jansen Harkins has been making for his guys. And, there's a difference in the finishing ability with a guy like Adam Lowry and a guy like Cal Connor. There just is. And I don't dislike Adam Lowry, but it is the kind of thing that might be worth an experiment up there, because I do think that we've seen the absolute max capacity of what we're going to see from Mikey Eyssimont with that line. If he were to
Michael
Eyssimont, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
But if he were to stick with them for the rest of the year, I'm sure that there would be some more improvements with chemistry and that kind of stuff. But I don't think it's going to get so much better that they need to keep running with it.
For sure. And yeah, I completely agree. While we try to obviously, surgically fix every line that has a little bit of not everything's going perfectly. While I won't say that this line was perfect tonight or anything like that, our top line actually was doing something, and more specifically, Mark Scheifele. Mark Scheifele had a great game. Obviously, he ends off the game with a
very defeated hat trick.
With a very defeated hat trick. Yeah, that one, I'm sure he was taking a victory lap after that one. And so it was really interesting to see, that first goal was him just battling in front of the net, getting good body position and making sure he got the tip on it. The second goal was I believe the one-timer on the power play where he ripped it at the start of at the start of the third period. And then obviously the final goal, garbage time, who cares, doesn't really matter. But I think that he specifically had a fantastic game. While I think that obviously there's much to be desired on the defensive end in all of the Jets game tonight. The one thing I will give them is that that top line was very good at keeping offensive pressure and keeping possession in the offensive zone. There were more than a few times throughout the entire game that there were, minutes almost where they were just cycling around the zone. They got a good couple chances. Perfetti looked really good again tonight. He had a lot of opportunities with shots. I'm glad to see he's shooting more, but at the same time, it is, he obviously clearly is still kind of figuring it out. as Darren in the chat says, Wheeler was kind of mad tonight. I agree. Do you think that was a penalty?
No. Oh my God. Okay. So he's talking specifically about the puck over glass. And okay, I made a TikTok the other day. Do you guys know that sound that's trending on TikTok? It's a Bo Burnham thing. It's like, I put the packet on the glass.
No.
It's like, what glass? And no one understands. And that's like me trying to explain physics to hockey players because they don't understand it. The puck goes up like at an angle and then it goes straight up when it hits the boards. It hit the boards.
I also was skeptical. I don't know. I would have to see it again. Unfortunately, my TV doesn't have capabilities to pause and rewind because I'm stupid and I don't have that. But
it was so funny. We were watching it and it was so because they play the replay and we're like, I wonder if it was. And they replay it. We're both like, oh no, okay, it wasn't. And Kevin Sawyer's like, oh, very obviously here you can tell it was straight out. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Anyways, other than that though, the power play tonight seemed like they kind of defaulted back to their old kind of structure where, Kyle Connor's on that flank waiting for the one-timer, Scheifele on the far side in the old line-A position waiting for his one-timer. Of course, it worked out tonight for him. And then Wheeler on the goal line. And this is just, I only bring this up just to comment on Wheeler's game today. There were a couple times on the power play there where he got the puck on the line where I would have liked to have seen him,
bro.
Yeah, seen him kind of drive the net as he's coming out. Obviously, passing it out and giving it to Kyle Connor is always not a bad idea, but it is. Sometimes you just need the chaos of getting the puck on net and having everyone collapse. Again, if PLD gets that in front, that guy's an animal on the doorstep. So
Real.
I don't think that that's a bad game plan to try and actually create some more dynamic and different chances because everyone kind of knows that Blake Wheeler's looking for a pass there.
Yeah.
Whereas if you jam it, Aiden Hill wasn't that strong tonight. Maybe you can kind of push it in past him or at very least create some chaos and then get the puck to someone open on the doorstep.
Yeah, for sure. I think that in the particular case, I think you're kind of referencing more that last power play that they had, where I believe it was Jansen Harkins got that stick in the face and the guy was like, what? Me? And it's like, yeah, you. But yeah, like you said, they kind of went back to their old formation. And we were both worried as soon as we saw them set up in that way because we know that formation. Everyone knows that formation. And we're like, that formation is typically very stagnant with these players in this situation. And we didn't think it was in that power play. It was good. But like you said, they needed that more chaos with those pucks in front because what happened? They had some solid pressure. That first unit was really good and they couldn't score. And then what happens? Wheeler gets the call. Like Justin said, Kevin Sawyer, the Jets homer, agreed with that call. I guess he did in that case. And anyways, besides the point, like, the call is the call. You got to play out and you got to kill off that penalty, but they didn't. And, so that's the shot was nice and it was a puck on the net kind of thing, but you need to be able to score there. And Vegas needed to score there and they did. And that was their time to win the game was on that power play at the end there because they really needed to and they did. And it's hard. It's defeating to watch that because it's like you can talk about what you like from the power play and all those kinds of things, but you didn't score and then the game and then it's back to 5-on-5 and what can you do? Yeah.
And then I think another important thing to look at in this game was the kind of the game management from the Jets, and as well as there were a lot of opportunities where the Jets clawed themselves back in it and then kind of got a bit of a... Sorry, I'm just reading a message from chat here. Update from Bonus says that Dubois is very sick and that's why he was moved down to the third line. Also says that there are a couple of guys on IV. Ooh, that is... kind of scary. I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, well, Billy's sick too. Billy has the flu, guys. So.
Of course you know that.
No, so maybe, it's flu season. But that's too bad because, I mean, that's the kind of thing we forget about too. Like, I remember we used to see it's like, there was a game that the Jets played like 6 years ago. And it was like, all of a sudden, Carey Price wasn't playing. And we're like, oh my gosh, what? And they're like, oh, he has a cold. And everyone was like, what? But it's like you think about it. Sometimes you get like the flu or you get a cold. I wouldn't be able to go play an NHL hockey game feeling that way. Like, not. Oh my goodness. So I just think that's. But they have guys on IV. What?
I don't know. That is as Justin Justice TV says, why were they even playing if they're that sick? I don't know. Yeah. Sorry to go back to what I was saying before. There were a lot of opportunities here where as we're watching, we're always trying to get an idea as to what's kind of the story of the game, what's what's happening, what can we kind of digest and put as kind of a headline as to what happened. And there were a lot of times where the Jets had opportunities to kind of seal the deal. Once they got that lead in the third period, there were a lot of risky things that happened. There were things like, Helly always coming out of his net to play the puck, which we'll always harp on. We'll say the classic Steve Dangle, if you're a goalie, tend to goal. But even past that, like, there were just the fact the fact that Pierre-Luc is out there in a late game situation, the fact that he takes a penalty, like there were 2 penalties in the last 10 minutes, I want to say. Yeah. And both times I looked over at Lyss and said, this is the TSN turning point. This is the game changer. If they just get a nice, stoppage here, if they can keep the Jet or the Golden Knights at bay, then this is, that will motivate the team and continue on. They'll be able to hopefully lock this up. And that both times did not happen tonight, which I think is one of the things that, if I'm bonus, I'm keying in on the fact that, there were a lot of chances in front. The Jets were not great at locking down the front of the net. They gave up a lot of turnovers. Again, like I said, the Nate Schmidt goal, the one on the power play where Kevin Stenlund and Pierre-Luc gave up the puck. And then even just things like, Pierre-Luc not having the ability to look back and see that Phil Kessel is kind of sneaking in. You're
really set on that Phil Kessel one, eh? Or you're still talking about that?
It's 3 minutes left in the game. Why wouldn't I be set on that? It's a tied game and you take a penalty with 3 minutes left. Like, I just don't really get it. And then one of the things I also was pointing out earlier in the game, like the first goal, I think it was the first goal, the what was his name? The young guy. I think I wrote it down here.
Oh, the guy who was on their second,
Miramonov?
Yeah, who was on their second pairing.
I
want to talk about him actually.
The guy who scored their first goal. That first goal happens because whoever the D-man was there was pinching in. And then the only person back is Josh Morrissey. Like, Josh Morrissey had a really nice back check, and it was all for nothing. Because that puck ended up going to him, and he ended up scoring anyways. Uh-oh. We're good? Sorry.
What?
Sorry, my computer made a noise, and it scared me. But yeah, so I there's just a lot of instances where the aggression of the defense found the Jets to be in poor position, as well as they just weren't locked down in front, especially in a game as tight as this, when you finally get your lead in a game against, a team that you're fighting for the top of the West with. Like, this was an important game for the Jets. They wanted to come into this and win, obviously, because they lost their last game.
Well, that's what I was going to say, too. Yeah, is that this is the second time only that the Jets have lost in back-to-back games this year. And David in the chat makes a good point that, like, if, teams feeling sick and all these kinds of things, like, they need to snap this before they start getting on a losing skid, or they start, all these things keep happening and piling up and piling on. And these are important games to win. And not to keep, harping on Neil Pierre-Luc, but I also don't understand why that guy is killing penalties too. Like, I just think it's such a strange, knowing the makeup of the current Jets defense, he and Nate Schmidt have no business killing penalties. You have Dylan Sandberg, you have Brendan Dillon, you have Josh Morris, you have Dylan DeMello. Who else do you need? Why am I counting 4 like this? But I it's the same thing with the forwards they have on the power play. They're running, like, I think 4 different pairings of guys on the penalty kill. It's like, why are Blake Wheeler and Kyle Connor killing penalties in the same period where they've just had 2 power plays? Like, I don't understand that usage of ice time whatsoever. But also apparently, just shout out in the chat, Ovi got his 800th goal tonight.
Well
deserves
done.
Some applause. Well done.
Well done.
I know he also had 799 tonight, so good for him.
Good for him. He scores goals every now and then. He's good.
Away?
He might be. Yeah, I don't even know. Like, this was a very frustrating game to watch because it was very tough to really hunkered down on what were, issues, who did we want to give kind of praise to. I thought also someone who deserved a little praise was Dylan Sandberg.
Yeah.
One of the things that, because obviously we got to argue constantly about, that sixth defenseman spot. Obviously, right now we're not arguing about it because unfortunately, like genuinely unfortunately, Logan Stanley is out with injury. Of course, hope for him to get better sooner than later. But one of the things that I find is very different between the two. I was talking with Garrett Hole a couple of episodes ago. I can't remember after which game. It was against the St. Louis game. And we were kind of talking about the two of those guys in comparison to each other. And in the actual like output, the results, the shot locations, both Dylan Sandberg and Logan Stanley in the offensive zone take a decent amount of shots from a similar area, which is on that left wall.
Left point, yeah.
But I think what is important, and this is where, having to marry both analytics and what you actually see while watching the game, is those types of shots are created very differently. One of the things that Logan Stanley does is he gets the puck there on the blue line and he just fires. He doesn't look for tips, doesn't this and that. He's just, I have a lot of power. I'm going to try and, brute force this, which, back in the day with Dustin Byfuglien, that works. Unfortunately, Logan Stanley is not Dustin Byfuglien. He doesn't have the offensive flair, unfortunately, that Buff did.
But is he Chara?
But is he Chara? He might be. But one of the things that I think that we really need to commend Dylan Sandberg on is that when he's taking those shots from the point, they're not just these, there's no intelligence. I'm not saying that Stanley's isn't intelligent shots, but there's a much more sophisticated way that he's creating those chances.
Well, I think if you want to look at it just solely from the shot perspective, you watch guy A versus guy B shoot. One is stationary or like gliding or whatever, and the other is double pumping half the time when he's shooting. And giving that extra double pump, and you know what I mean by the terminology, is that extra step, it gives you the option to still get rid of the puck and pass it to someone better if you want to. So I think that there's that, like what you mean by that extra level of sophistication, because I think there's that extra step being taken to make sure it is the right shot to take in that situation. Not that it always is, but at least the consideration is there and the ability to get rid of it if wanted to is there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, even the goal tonight, I think it was the Barron goal, I want to say. The one where he kind of stayed with it. That was one where Harkins worked really hard in the corner, got the puck up to Sandberg. Sandberg kind of walks in, fakes it, and then moves, steps over to the side, creates a little bit of movement. And that's what's really needed to constantly be able to kind of reevaluate the shot, see if you have the lane, see if you have the traffic in front to cause, the chaos in front of whichever goalie you're against. And I think that's why one thing that we need to highlight with Sandberg is that those shots that he's creating, again, are not just standstill. It's he's taking a look, seeing if he has a lane. If he doesn't have a lane, he's going to try and pump fake, try and create some space, which then again, of course, creates movement all around the ice, no matter what. Not just firing the puck on net will always create more movement, whether it's the goalie not necessarily being in the right position, if it's defenders maybe having to react differently. Maybe they're going to try and rush you a little bit more. Maybe they're going to try and battle in front a little harder. You never know. And I think that's one thing that does need some praise, especially in the game here today.
Yeah, and I think that specifically on him and on the point shots, I know Brady and I are both bad for really harping on having less of those point shots, just because generally speaking, they don't create as much and as strong of a chance as they would if they were to pass it a little bit lower and have a shot from closer in, whether it be from the slot, the hash mark, somewhere a little bit tighter. But tonight, we ate our words a little bit. I still believe that generally speaking, and so would everyone would agree with me that a closer to the net shot is better than a further away from the net shot. But tonight, their traffic in front of the net was better. Vegas wasn't doing as good of a job of, clearing those guys out in front of the net to stop that goal from going in kind of thing. But it was better tonight. And I think that the more qualitative and the smarter you can make your point shots, the more likely they are to result in goals like they did tonight.
Absolutely. And when you have 3 goals that are all tip goals or off of, those shots, it is worth mentioning that, any shot can create goals. But obviously you want to be always making the best bets that you can.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other points that you want to add to this?
I think generally speaking, that was kind of the most of mine. And yeah, I think we touched on, we liked the first and third line tonight. Generally speaking, we thought second and fourth were kind of meh. We talked about the defenseman we liked and didn't like, Hellbuck having a regular game. Like, he wasn't atrocious by any means. But again, if he's not bailing out every single time, it changes the scope of the game big time because goals that you aren't used to having go in are going in. But generally speaking, it was the kind of game that you really would have liked to have seen the Jets win. I'm going to use a term here. It would have been an identity win, right? Because it's against the team that's next to you in the Western Conference standings, right? You want to be able to show that you can beat those teams, and we aren't playing against the Vegas Golden Knights at all for the rest of the season, right? And knowing that you're coming off of a loss already, you're rested from a day or two of rest kind of thing, it would have been nice to see them win. But that's pretty much all I have to say.
For sure. And yeah, as you mentioned, this is the last meeting of the regular season that the Jets have with the Golden Knights. So
God forbid in the playoffs again.
So
not going through that again.
All I can say is hopefully they remember this feeling. They remember what it feels like to lose 3 times to the Golden Knights. And if they do end up meeting them in the playoffs at some point, hopefully they bring their best game and they know a little bit more about how to play against them. But I also don't want to face any Bruce Cassidy team in playoffs.
So true.
But we're gonna end it off here. But before you leave, we're gonna sign off. We have a little fun thing we're doing right after the show. We're just gonna end it off here. But thank you all for listening on the audio portion. Much appreciated. Find us on Twitter at NHL Chunky, at Lyss Hood. Hood. Sorry.
Hood on a jacket.
Sorry, I always mix them up. And check out our own podcast. We have a podcast together called At Can't Teach Size on Twitter. It's called Can't Teach Size on wherever you get your podcasts. But thank you all for tuning in. On to our fun part. So that will be the end of the audio portion. One of the things that we have been doing. So we have a group chat with all the Game Over hosts.
Shout out. Dan O'Toole was on Game Over Toronto tonight. Travis Yost was on Game Over Toronto or Ottawa, earlier this week. They've had some amazing guests. Filipovich was on Montreal earlier in the year. And Sam Chang is literally the host of the Vancouver one. So every time she's on, they have a Game Over across the country has some really fantastic hosts, and I'm just naming a couple of them. Every single market has some really fantastic people that are part of it. But we are pretty active in our group chats.
We are. That we are. And we've had a couple arguments. So we've had some arguments, the standard Coke versus Pepsi. So what we're going to do tonight, we have all 3 of the product range.
So my Be Real just went off, by the way. So we're going to do
We're going to do a Be Real quick. Okay. Anyways, so we're gonna do blind taste tests of all of Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Pepsi Zero, I think it's called now.
Okay, yeah. Pepsi Zero, Diet Pepsi,
Coke Zero, Diet Coke.
Yes.
And we're gonna rank them. We're gonna try and guess what they are, and then also we will finally to figure out which ones we think are the best. But regardless, I think we are gonna start right away. I have our first ones here. We don't know what they are.
Yeah.
I'll take a sip quickly. Maybe and then you continue to. I don't know.
This is not typical content, but we're okay.
That tastes watered down.
It's because you poured these so long ago.
No. Okay, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
It's bad, whatever it is.
My guess is this is Pepsi Max, and I'm gonna put it on the bottom of my thing.
Yeah, this is low for me. This is real low.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now number 2. This is yummy. This is really good. What is this?
I think this is regular Coke.
And
it's definitely better than what it was previous. What was previous?
It was good. Yeah.
It was good. Okay.
Okay, on to number 3. This is a Pepsi product.
This is Pepsi. This is definitely
Pepsi product.
This is definitely a Pepsi product for sure.
Okay, wait, are you doing your favorite ones closest to you or furthest away from you?
Furthest away. This is the low end. This is the top. We'll communicate what it is to you guys after.
This is middle for me. You're drinking the whole thing. There's so much there.
I know. I need to bask in it. I'm sorry. This is definitely a Pepsi, and I think I have this one above.
Because you think it's Pepsi.
No. There's a specific taste that I like about Pepsi.
Shut up.
I promise you, it's not a biased thing.
Okay.
I promise you. I didn't spill any. We're good.
Ooh, this is yummy. This is really good. What is this? I don't know why I keep asking. I don't know.
This is the best. This is the best by far, and I know which one this is. I can tell which one this is. This
gets number 2 for me.
No. Come on.
No, it's good, but no, it gets number 2 for me.
That in my opinion, that's regular Pepsi.
Okay. I'm like leaning so far over.
That one's definitely sweeter than the other ones.
It was good. I liked it a lot. Okay. Next. I don't like this. I don't like it at all.
I like
I'm
that.
struggling with this one. This goes for me above the first one, but that's it. Actually,
I feel like
it goes in the middle of the pack.
I wish I didn't drink all of it because now I want to do some sort of
hurts.
No, I want to do some sort of like
Actually, yeah, that would have been smart.
I think this one goes.
Okay, I'm getting up to get the last.
I think this is my second favorite so far.
Ugh. Okay.
Oh
Here,
goodness.
Last one.
We have a burping contest at the
Oh
end.
God. Okay, last one.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Oh, this one's yummy too.
I don't know. I've had so much cola that I can't tell.
I know. I'm struggling. Okay, I might go through and drink them all again and then try. This one for me is going near the top.
Oh, I wish I would have saved some.
This
is definitely not a diet product. I can tell you that for sure.
Okay, this one's definitely the worst. What the hell is this? Because it tastes different than everything else and it's not good.
This is definitely in the top half.
Yeah, good.
I'm willing to guess that my order went Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Coke Zero. Actually, I don't know. Coke Zero, Diet Coke, Pepsi Max, or Pepsi Zero, whatever.
Okay, but you need to tell them where your affiliations lie right now.
Oh, I will fully admit, I'm a Pepsi boy. I grew up in a Diet Pepsi household until my dad started buying Coke Zero, and I got upset with him. I didn't actually get upset with him, but I definitely am much more of a Diet Pepsi fan.
And I am a Diet Coke or a Coke Zero girly, like through and through and through. Like I drink a lot of Coke Zero. And I don't. Okay, how I want this to go is I want to go Coke Zero, Diet Coke, Pepsi. I don't know. Diet Pepsi should be last though, if I know anything about myself, because So we're gonna look.
All right, I'm gonna go through my list first. So first,
no, let's look at because we both put the same one last, right?
Did we? Number one.
What was that?
Coke Zero. Let's go! Let's go! Coke Zero sucks. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Also, I bought the other 5 of these today from 7-Eleven, so the quality is great. This was from a can sitting in your house for who knows how long.
No, Coke Zero fucking sucks. Yes, I feel so vindicated right now. I cannot tell you how happy I am.
Andrew and Audie, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. I've dishonored us.
Let's go.
I'm so upset.
Okay.
I'm so upset.
Okay.
Oh my god.
All right, what's next?
For me is 2.
I had 2 as well.
Okay.
Diet Coke. Let's go. 2 for 2. 2 for 2. Oh man, this is the best day of my life. This is the best day of my life. I don't care that the Jets lost.
Oh my god.
All right, are you ready for 3? Are you?
Why are you so bad today? I'm so upset.
Today. Oh, this one doesn't get the excuse, huh?
What?
This one doesn't get the
Because I bought it today.
All right, 3.
What was next for you? 3?
I had 3.
3.
Pepsi Zero.
Pepsi Zero. Okay.
Pepsi Zero. Let's go. Okay, I'm hype. I'm hyped
Okay.
right now. All right. Number 4.
Oh my god.
Okay, I had 6.
I had number 4 next.
I might want to redo a top 3. I might.
Okay, let's redo a top 3. Have a little sippy sip.
No. I don't have more sips is the issue. So I might post after this do one just to check.
Oh my god. But then you're biased. Anyways.
No, I mean I'll let you pour them for me. It's fine.
Good.
Okay, I have 6 at my bottom
This one's actually better.
of the 3 of these.
Okay, mine goes 5, 6, 4.
Okay, I have 6 at the bottom, 5 in the middle, and 4 at the top.
Okay, we both have 4 at the top. Do you want to look at that one? Quick?
We gotta wait till the end. We gotta
Okay.
leave some suspense for the audience.
Okay, so number 6 is what you have at 3, and I
Yeah.
have it at 2. Are we looking?
Diet Pepsi.
Huh?
She's a Pepsi girl. She doesn't even know. She doesn't even know. Diet Pepsi is so good. I'm telling you.
I'm hurt.
I'm gonna redo
This
my
is
top
really
3
yummy.
just to be sure.
This is really yummy.
Okay, 5 has got to be Coke. 5 has got to be Coke. Or actually, wait. I have a bit left of both. Okay, I'm gonna drink. I'm gonna have a sip of both.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm so upset.
This is definitely Pepsi. I'm so confident. I've never been more confident in my life. And this is definitely Coke.
Okay, so you're
Oh,
looking.
now that I tasted it, I wish I put it under Diet Pepsi. That's so mad. All right, so yeah.
Shut up.
So Diet Pepsi, I already moved my
Now
6
we're at
over.
number 5, so this is my number 3, right? Yeah, this is my number 3, and this is your number 2.
Yeah,
And it
I'm
is?
sure it's got to be Coke. It's Coke. Let's go! Let's go!
No!
Pepsi, baby.
No!
Made for hockey watching. Am I right? Where's Clay? I need Clay in here. Let's go.
Oh my god. No.
Oh,
Okay, here's my thing. Liquid calories are dangerous, so I don't like drinking
so then drink
full-
Diet Pepsi.
But
I'm just saying. I'm just
upset.
saying, man.
I didn't care Coke or Pepsi, but Coke Zero, my girl, you failed me. You failed me.
I'm just saying. Anyways,
Oh my god.
this has been a lot of fun. We'll tweet out the results and if there's any changes in the future, if like I said, I'm gonna redo my top 3 just to make sure, because I drank them all too fast. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll have some more in-person post games eventually, or podcasts on our own. If you like our banter, check out our podcast, check out us on Twitter, obviously follow at SDPN Sports. Thank you all for tuning in, and have yourself a good one. Lyss will be with you on Thursday with the
Yes.
Preds.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see you Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.